Hey, how is everyone? Oh my goodness, Deedee, how are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I am good. It's been a crazy week, right? But it was a good week, and I'm glad to be starting a brand new week. I guess Sunday is the beginning of a new week, right? I guess
Yeah.
technically. So yeah, it's nice to be starting a brand new week. So I definitely all of last week, right? I had felt like things weren't actually real. Like I knew I was in reality, like right? Like I know I'm not, but it just felt like I was in a dream for most of it. It's just nothing really felt, I don't know how to explain it, just a little off.
I
I don't
understand.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just it'd be nice to have that not happen this coming week. So we'll see
Yeah.
what
I
happens.
I get that. It's like being too aware. Everything seems like a facade. I've
It
had that.
does. So I'm just like, I
Yeah.
don't know what's going on. Actually, I ended up messaging Stacy at one point, just like kind of to check in and say hi to him, but also to be like, you know, am I going crazy? What's going on? But oh my goodness. So what's new with you?
Well, as some people might know, I know you know that my husband was driving home from work and found four puppies just
Nice.
abandoned on the side of the road, 100 degrees temperature in the middle of nowhere, coyotes, fast traffic. And it was actually, I found out just yesterday, it was on the other side of the road. So he was driving by and he saw like something and something just, and he never goes home this way either. And so he made a U-turn, went back, and it was puppies. And so he called me and he's like, I found puppies on the side of the road. I'm like, well, just bring them home. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So he gets them in the car to put them in the car. They were so dehydrated that they couldn't even like walk on their own. So he had to put them in the car, brought them home. Happy story. They've all found a really cool home, which I showed Dani the video. They've got the puppy, like little car with the kid driving around.
Oh my gosh, so cute.
Yeah, so sweet. And I love that they stayed in touch to show me the videos. And then two went with a rescue, which it's definitely going to be adopted out and taken care of. And then we decided to keep one. So now we have a new dog named Sunny.
Aw, I love the name Sunny. That's so sweet. It's such a cute name for a dog. So nice.
Yeah.
Um, that's what I feel like sometimes the universe intervenes, right? And I feel like that's one of those situations because if your husband normally doesn't go that way, and for some
Right.
reason he went that way,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
no,
just
that's
weird. The whole thing was weird. And it was a real lesson for me. I did a video about it that I put out there with the manifestation and stuff. And so I had mentioned to my husband I missed having a dog. That's all I said. I miss having a dog. It's like, be careful what you say.
oh
While
yeah,
you're
the
manifesting
universe was like, oh,
abundance.
okay.
Like, here
You want
you
a
go.
dog?
And gave
We're
me
gonna give you a dog.
right.
Oh,
And there was a huge lesson in it for me as well. So I was taught that I have an abundance of community and I need to know that because I didn't realize it. So for me it was a really good story.
amazing. That's a blessing. That's a blessing in disguise
Yeah.
right there. Like
Yeah.
this situation where okay, like what do I do next? And then to know that there are that many caring and loving people around you that were
Yeah.
able to help, step
Yes,
in and help out. That's awesome.
definitely. Yep.
So, any announcements? I know when we showed the upcoming shows, I think I saw your face on the
Yeah.
billboard there.
Yeah. I'll be on Unturned Pages tonight at 9
Nice. I'm
Eastern.
excited. I will absolutely be tuning in for that. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yes. And I think I heard something about workshops for you too. What's
Yeah, I'm gonna start doing workshops. I'm gonna do some in person, and I'm gonna be doing some online. And so that'll start in August. And so I'll put it out there, like on social media, when it's gonna start. But basically, you'll be bringing a dream with you, and we're gonna interpret it together. And it's the workshop, and there'll be like printouts and cool stuff to like leave with. And I think it's gonna help a lot of people get a true baseline for analyzing their dreams and hopefully like give them some passion for it too.
yeah. Oh, that's exciting because it's a hands-on experience then for the individual
Yeah.
also, which
Yeah, definitely.
like for me personally, like when something's hands-on, it sticks with me better. Like I don't
Yeah,
know, there's
I
something about
agree.
that, but yeah. But oh,
Yeah.
that's exciting. I can't wait to see the announcement for that.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. I actually have an announcement too.
Yeah.
I don't have an actual first like the start date yet. I'm hoping it's going to be at some point in August. I'm hoping, but Divination with Dani is going to end up being a podcast. So I'm taking things to the next level with not only just learning for myself, but learning to share what I'm learning with others. So it'll be a little bit of like of card readings for people, but instead of just one card, I'm hoping to do like a 3 card or more spread, depending on, what the situation entails, and then a little bit of tarot information. So all the things that I've been wanting to do with my page, I'm just going to be bringing it to the podcast platform. So
Yeah, that's so
it'll
cool.
be a learning experience for all of us. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure I will have moments, but it is what it is, and I'm just going to be very
Yeah.
real and very honest, and hopefully that goes well. So we'll see what happens.
Oh, I think it will. I'm excited to watch, and I'll have you pull some. You pulled some cards for me the other day, and I want to share with everybody that I was really like in a bad spot mentally, and you pulled some cards for me and really gave me some solid clarity, and it really helped me. I'm gonna cry. It really helped me, So it's like you doing this is going to be so helpful for people. You get in a place where you're just a little stuck, and you need somebody who cares, who's going to help you.
Yes, and it's nice because and we'll actually get into this a little bit tonight. This is kind of like a nice segue into like tonight's thing, where it can be a very helpful tool for just listening to it's an internal dialogue, right? But brought up to like on a physical level where you can see it. So yeah. So I'm so glad that reading helped you. I think that it's gonna be me. Oh my goodness. Okay. So should we say hello to our side here?
Yeah.
Okay, before I start falling, because that was very sweet. We have Stacy Talish. He was first. Hey, Stacy.
I feel like he should get a prize for being first at everybody's podcast.
When he isn't first, I worry about him, and I don't like not first. We have Mark Brown. Hello, Mark. You see, and then there was me saying hello to people because I got all excited they were both here. We have Sandy. Hello, Sandra. Let's see. Oh, Dee-Hoo. Hello, Dee-Hoo. I love her. She's so sweet. Okay. And we have Big Daddy Andy's in the house.
Hey.
Sam.
Hey, Sam.
Sam. We have Damien. Hello.
Hi.
Edinburgh, you know what? It is on my bucket list. Edinburgh is one of those places where, if I had the opportunity, I want to take an extended vacation there because there's so much, like the history and just everything there.
It's amazing. Castles and
yes. Hello.
He's I have pictures posted.
Chris Mack. Mack Daddy's in the house. Hello.
Hey.
Let's see. What else do we have here? Is this Beth? Hello, Beth.
Hey.
Denise Empey. Did we?
Hey.
Hi, Denise. I love her so much. She is one of those people who she's very uplifting and she's very genuine. So like she just comes from a very solid place of like anytime like she comes to you with anything, like you just feel like she's one of those like very genuine people. I don't know. It's something about Denise I really love. So it was nice she's here. So tonight we are talking about how when you're in too deep, right? So I feel like this is one of those topics that I wish would be talked about a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like when you actually you had brought this topic up, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is an amazing topic, and there's a lot to it. So we decided to like funnel it down right to dream interpretations and tarot because that's what we're focused on. But so I don't know. At one point, how did this even start initially? Like there was the one story that we were talking about that story tonight with the woman, right?
Yeah. So there was an article that caught my eye, and it was she had like 100,000 followers on X or Twitter. She's an astrology influencer, and apparently she was a singer too. I didn't know who she was, but her name was Ayoka or Danielle Johnson. But I don't know. You look at people and you think they've got everything together. You've got all these followers. She had all these workshops and classes, and it's all about being spiritual and peaceful, and so you have a an idea of who somebody is, right?
Well, yeah.
And so, and who knows what happened, but she at some point started posting on Twitter about the uh, the eclipse that we just had. And so she was saying that it's going to be the apocalypse. And so she was warning people about it, choose a side. And there's all these like posts with like all capital letters. And so there was like a buildup to this. One thing that caught my eye is somebody else had posted something. And I think this is where it can really drive people, you know, in the deep end, is that so you have this idea of something that's happening. You think there's an apocalypse happening for whatever reason. She probably had some sort of visions. And I suspect that what she was actually intuitively knowing is that she was about to be her own apocalypse. That's just my theory. She was right, but she kind of drove herself in, you know, it's kind of one of those circles, right? Egg, chicken kind of things. And so, but other people jump into your post and start saying other things, and they're building a whole story that makes you now believe, because they're validating your, you know, it's the apocalypse, it's the end of the world. People start validating each other, whether they believe it or not. It only takes one person to believe it. So long story short, she ended up murdering her boyfriend on the couch. She stabbed him to death, took her 2 children in the car. One was a baby, one was about 7 or 9, drove on the freeway like 100 miles an hour, threw them out of the car onto the freeway. Baby died. By some miracle, the older child didn't, but I mean, the mental scars from that, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
And then she drove her Porsche. So she had a nice Porsche. She drove it into a tree and killed herself. So all because she thought it was the end of the world. And I'm sure that, you know, I mean, obviously there was mental illness and or an episode of psychosis. A lot of people mentioned that it could be she had just had a baby. So it could have been, you know, that
postpartum have played into that.
Postpartum.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean,
that's what that was, maybe.
Yeah. But see, this is where I go with this, is that, you know, these things happen. A lot of people will have moments of psychosis under a lot of stress or whatever. But because she was very into her own readings and stuff, she didn't seek outside help. She just listened to whatever she thought the cards or charts were telling her.
Right.
And so it just made me think that, you know, and I can get carried away with stuff. I think we all can, right?
Yeah, I know I have. Absolutely. Yeah. And then one day you're like, oh, wait, like something clicks and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I've looked back at things I've said. I'm like, oh my God.
But yeah, it's like to get to that point though, where she genuinely believed. I have no doubt that she genuinely believed in her heart that was it, and that's why. Like I don't think she would have done those things if she didn't believe that. But there's like those points where, like, how do you recognize your own red flags then, right? Because I'm sure there were red flags for her, but she was, like you said, like so involved in her own practice, so involved in her own beliefs that she didn't notice or didn't want to notice maybe her red flags.
Yeah, I think so. And it could have even been the boyfriend had said something like, and maybe he didn't approach it well. Maybe he said something like, you're acting crazy. And that was the final thing that made her snap. You know, you have to be careful when someone is having an episode. Oh my goodness. You say, you know, because you don't know where they're at. You know?
No, you don't. And it's she may not have even, like, I do not know her personal history, so I'm not going to pretend that I do. But someone could just have a moment where, like, and it could, I swear it could happen to anybody. Like, you get pushed too far, or you're just, like we're saying, just in too deep. And if there's no one there to be like, hey, maybe let's go try something else real quick. Like, if there's no one to like help derail that a little bit, like, you could absolutely, it would be so easy to just run with it.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh my goodness. And I know, like, that happens a lot with tarot, a lot. Like, there are so many, like, people get so codependent, like, just, I don't even know if it's codependent. It's like dependent on, they need their reading to be able to make a decision. And that's where I was like, yeah, this is a great topic for both of us, because I definitely can speak to, I know people who have even called me like, hey, I need a reading to do this. And I'm like, you really don't need a reading. All you need is to just sit with, how do you feel? You know, like, there's some times where it's appropriate and sometimes where it's not. And and that is, and that's actually I have 3 indicators to know, like, maybe when it's a little bit too much, like maybe you need to step back a little bit. So should I jump into those? I guess I should jump into
those. I can pop up these 2 comments too.
Perfect. Oh, what is it?
The Barnum effect.
Oh,
Very real psychological phenomenon that you should look into later. Basically, what you're describing. Interesting. I never heard of that.
oh,
Hmm.
love that.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes, it
I
really
do.
is. Should I pull a card for Stacy real quick before I do this? Let me pull a card for him really quick before I go into why you don't always need a card pull.
Yeah. The meteor showers. I always look now to see what the events are that are going on. Solar flares. I've heard people talk about the solar flares too, that it affects us.
Oh, Stacy. Okay, so I had a card jump for Stacy, which was the Judgment card. And the Judgment card is very much one of those cards of shedding your old, like it's like you're shedding your old skin, right? So like in this deck, you can see like there's like an angel coming to like lift up souls and stuff, right? So this is kind of like you are in a new chapter. You're letting go of the things that no longer serve you. You're letting go of like the dead weight of just the past, right? So like this is a whole new, it's almost like a transformation card, right? Like I think transformation is a good word to use for Judgment, which actually this was a card that got pulled for today's daily card for divination with Dani.
Oh.
And I pulled a clarification card for it, and I got the moon, and the moon is very much the things that no longer serve. It's also emotions. It's also like the thought processes that are things that you don't necessarily like or enjoy or need like or want to face. So it's just kind of like a transformation of like leaving all of the junk behind, right? And then moving forward. So Stacey, I don't know if that makes any sense for you personally, but it just seems like we're coming into a time of like leaving the less than stellar feelings and emotions or like the just physical like garbage of our lives. Like you're leaving you're leaving that behind and moving into something a little bit more fresh, a little bit more transformative. So I don't know if that makes any sense for you,
Interesting.
but those are your cards.
Here's a question for you too.
Oh, can you not read yourself or do you have to allow? So here's the thing. I think everybody has the ability to read for themselves. And I think it's actually the best way for people to start their practice of reading is to read for yourself because the cards become this internal dialect. There's a lot of myth and misconception around the cards about how like when you play with them, it opens up gateways to hell or like demons or like there's a lot of like and I get it, like certain religions that you just I'm not trying to like tap into the subject of religion at all, but certain belief systems don't like tarot, which I'm not even going to touch on it. To each their own. It is a divination tool, just like dream interpretation, just like any other divination tool. It is a gateway to having a conversation with yourself. So yeah, you can absolutely read for yourself. Absolutely. Yeah. So let me get into, should I do that? I'll do the 3 misconceptions. Then I see Sam wants a card then too.
Yeah, I'm starring them for you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Well, okay. So it wasn't misconceptions, but it was the 3 major sources for like why people tend to take tarot too far, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And there's a thing where like people say, "Oh, tarot ruined my life." There's a lot of like forums and I go on and like people lament over it. And honestly, tarot doesn't have any power that you don't already like. If you give it the power to ruin your life, then yes, it'll ruin your life. It just depends on like your mindset going into a reading. And so that these 3 hits are something to keep in mind while you're getting a reading so that you can have a very beneficial tarot experience. So dependency, right? That's one of those things where when you're like relying too heavily, so like when I was saying, when I have friends that reach out to me and that they need a card reading, well, technically you don't necessarily need the card reading. You need to sit with your own thoughts. So you need to trust your intuition, right? You need to use your own judgments to make your decisions. Tarot is this beautiful tool, right? It's this beautiful tool to help you have that conversation, but you really need to listen to yourself, to your gut feelings, to like those little sparks that like, where you get like the warnings or you get excited. You need to listen to that, right? And tarot is just one of those tools to get you there.
Right.
It should never be a substitute for your instincts, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So when you're turning the cards to like make every little decision, It's kind of it should be a red flag to you when you start noticing that you can't make a decision without going to a reader or without pulling out your own deck. It's a red flag that maybe just temporarily put the deck away, don't go see the reader, just give yourself some breathing room, because I think you kind of need to reset yourself there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
right?
I agree.
It's so easy to give your power away, to give your responsibility away in some aspects. And I don't know if people are going to get mad at that, using the word responsibilities, but you're always responsible for yourself. At the end of the day, you are the one making the decisions for you. So
yeah, it's almost like one of those things where you have to do the work. You have to understand, what, if you're trying to make a decision about something, what are the outcomes and what's holding you back from making either decision, and sometimes the cards are a way of like helping you think, just like oracle cards for dream interpretation is supposed to help you get your mind going, get the wheels turning, start putting ideas so that you can process it. It's a tool to help. It's not to decide for you. Yeah.
And that's the thing, like, you have to remember, it is literally just a tool. It should never go beyond that. And then that's where a lot of people get so dependent on it, because it's like they feel like they're not as responsible then, or they feel like there's something higher giving them the information, when really it is even more dialect with yourself. Yeah.
Well, think about it too, as a tarot reader, and that's why usually I will give people what I think is their dream interpretation, but I don't like to tell people what to do.
Yeah.
I need them to decide what to do, because I don't know. And maybe even if I have an idea, just because I think something should be a certain way doesn't mean I'm right, because I don't know the whole picture. Only we know truly. But like if you're reading for somebody and you give them a reading and they end up breaking up with a boyfriend or whatever, and that goes very bad, you can be blamed for something like that,
Which is so sad, because I think that does happen to people. People are like, oh, but I went to this person and they said X, Y, and Z. Or like I was on a forum trying to like just find my information for tonight. And there was someone who had paid this like exorbitant amount of money to like try to figure their situation out. And they ended up just picking these horrible situations for themselves and like leaving a person that they probably shouldn't have left, and just all this stuff, just because like their card readings, the person that interpreted their readings for them said one thing, and they never sat and thought like, okay, what does this mean to me personally? They just ran with what the other person was saying. And I just think that's really sad. Like, you could let yourself be destroyed by somebody else's opinion. Like, that's why I put the disclaimer. Yeah, and you paid them to do it. That's the worst part. Like, it should never, always talk to yourself before you take somebody else's advice when it comes to tarot. I don't know how to explain that. Like, but and that actually rolls right into my next thing. Taking negative interpretations to heart. So there are a few scary cards, right? They look really scary. They might mean one thing to the reader because they don't know your entire life. Right. So like this is where if you're in a vulnerable state, a negative interpretation could really harm you emotionally and mentally. Right. Like you could go off the deep end from somebody telling you something that it's their interpretation, which there is some. OK, I'm not completely denying that there's responsibility on the reader's end, because there is. Like, you should give a fair reading and you should explain, like, this is my interpretation. Like, I feel like every reader can say you need to take yourself into consideration. But if someone says, oh, you get the tarot and the devil, and people are like, oh, you know what? You're fucked. Or excuse me, sorry. You're effed. You need to say, because maybe that might not mean that, because those cards aren't necessarily bad in certain situations. They're just like little reminders of like, hey, just check yourself a little bit, like,
It's the same with dreams. It's like it can mean different things for different people. And it's an overall thing. Like, it could be that when they says you're in danger, it could be you're in danger with your own thoughts. You're in danger with, the choices you're making. Like, it doesn't have to mean like somebody's going to attack you and then you need to be afraid. Like, just a little example of how I kind of see it,
Yeah. So it's
here's a good question.
Oh, what's this? So what is the purpose of a reading if it's the reader's interpretation? So the purpose of a reading, right? So if you go to a reader, they're going to pull the cards. They're going to help you start your dialect with your own intuition. So they're setting the intention that reading is for you. So they're going to pull the cards, and then so your energy however you want to interpret this, my interpretation of it is your energy. So your intuition, your higher self is going to help assist in that situation where the right cards get pulled. So whether the reader pulls the cards or if you pull the cards, some people think it's stronger when the person getting the reading actually pulls the cards. And I know when I do it personally, I'll hand the deck. If I'm in front of the person, I'll hand them the deck, let them handle it. But what this is so the reader, if you're going to a reputable reader, they should have some experience with what the symbolism means on the card. So really what they're reading is a story that was pulled out for your benefit, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to give you what they're feeling. And then a lot of times readers have developed some form of like intuition with this, so they can probably build a story depending on like how the interaction is with their client. So they're going to give you a story. You're going to be looking at the cards also. So if something that you're seeing isn't jiving with what they're telling you, you need to go with what your gut is telling you, because the symbolism might read differently to you, but they're reading. There's a generalized symbolism, right? And things mean different things to different people. But it's a way to start a dialect with yourself, if that makes any sense, regardless of who's actually doing the reading for you. So, I mean, it's very beneficial. And also too, like the whole thing with taking this too far, like I would rather have someone look at tarot readings as a parlor trick versus something that is dead set. This is how it's going to be. Like if you need to look at it in black and white, look at it more like it's just for fun. I would rather have someone do that than take it so seriously that they make horrible life decisions based off of cards. Because you need to be able to have that conversation with yourself before you actually make serious life decisions.
Yeah. Well, and isn't it kind of more like it's for like clarity and, you know, like when I asked you, I wasn't asking you to like make a decision, but I was kind of like stuck. So like when I feel like when you get a little stuck, and then you have a second person who's then looking at the cards and like you say, they're kind of like, I don't know, divinely is the right word, but the cards just seem to know. I don't know how it works, but it does.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's weird to explain unless you've had a reading or unless you've pulled cards for someone. There is some form of energy that takes place there. So like however you want to explain that. But yeah. And it's one of those things like, okay, this is what I'm seeing. And I think I even said it to you, like if you see something different, you need to go with what you're seeing. But, it's a way to give you a fresh perspective. It's a way to like maybe see something from a different angle or get some clarity. Like you said, just clarity on the situation.
Yeah. Well, it's a great way to talk with somebody instead of just coming up and throwing your problems on the table at people. You're doing an activity together where you're kind of discovering what else do we need to know. And I love that because that's kind of a great way, especially if you're sitting down with a friend or somebody you're familiar with, to get a little more information and kind of a more, I don't know if fun is the right word, but you know, just in an activity rather than just spilling your guts and having somebody give you advice.
But it's more interactive in a way. I feel like that might just the fact that you're sharing in that way, you might, even if like say like, okay, we're doing the card reading, even if the card reading doesn't give you like, it'll start a process in your brain where you might start thinking differently about something, or you might. So regardless, it's just giving you something fresh to like rehash something out or to look at it. So but and that kind of like, it's like I feel like this kind of could have rolled into the other one. We're talking about like obsession, or like you'll risk your, like we talked about this, like you'll risk a relationship based off of a card reading. Like that's in my opinion, I feel like if you're going to go and get and this is personal opinion, obviously if someone else feels differently, go with what you feel. Like if you're going to go and get a card reading and the reader tells you, oh, you know, they're looking to cheat on you, or you're going to have something that's different, blah, blah, blah. And like you take that reading and you don't have an actual conversation with your significant other. If you don't sit down and be like, hey, this is what I had the reading for. Can we talk? If you don't have some kind of adult conversation after that and you just walk away from the other person, that's on you. That's not the cards. That's not the card reader. It's like, so, I mean, being so obsessed with the cards that you'll listen to the cards before having an actual interaction is really scary.
Right. Yeah.
Really is. That and like spending money that you don't have. I do know people. Yeah, I do know people who have gone for card readings when it was like card reading or put food on the table, and they picked card reading, and it's like probably not
exactly
that situation to avoid.
And that can cause more problems say you have a relationship and you're spending money on this kind of stuff.
Oh God,
and then they're like, oh, you're having problems in your relationship, but yeah, this is actually the cost.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's not good. But have you ladies ever had to wean someone away or directly tell them that they needed to? I've had a family member actually that would come to me for readings all the time, and it was literally one of those where like, I don't think you need a reading for this. I think you just need to sit and ask yourself, kind of a thing. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, like, I don't think I directly said, no, I'm not doing this for you. I think I just was kind of like, no, I think you just need to sit with this. And I don't have to, like, I think honestly, I probably took the chicken's way out on this one. I made an excuse for why I couldn't do the readings. But
Yeah.
I've had that experience. How about like with dream interpretations? If you had somebody.
I've had people come to me that the dream that they're talking about and the way they're viewing it and explaining it. And these are like strangers, like on YouTube, that come in to make a comment. And I just know that I can't give them what they need. And I would say, and I have said to a couple of people, that's something that you need to bring this dream to your therapist, hoping they have one, but I'm not sure. I'm doubting, to kind of gently let them know that this is a little bit bigger than a dream interpretation, that you need to take that to a therapist. So in that way I have, yeah.
Yeah. And that's where, like, that's that line of being responsible with it, right? Because you're saying, okay, like you have that feeling like, okay, this is something that they do need to probably go seek help elsewhere for.
Yeah.
So the fact that you even were like, okay, we're going to just say this and it's going to direct them in the direction that they need to go. That's on your end. That's taking the responsibility of knowing, okay, like, I don't want this person to be that dependent on this or to like take this the wrong way, that they need to go seek help elsewhere. So.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, oh, what is this from Deedee? Can I bring this up? Oh, okay. See, I know a lot of people who do like the mediumship and the psychic readings, and they'll use cards to help facilitate, like, in what direction they're going.
And that's a little different though, right? Because it's more like a psychic hits rather than the cards themselves.
Yeah, I think they're just using it as like a tool to help them like connect with whatever they need to. I know, like, when I do readings, there's nothing psychic about what I do. I definitely, but yeah, like, because I know a few people actually, and they're very good at what they do, and they don't necessarily need the cards, but like, I think that it just helps them, like, it helps them connect a little bit easier. But so those were ways to know that you're in too deep for tarot. But I know you have some information as far as dream interpretation goes.
I do. So, and these were really interesting. And I sometimes I'm the type of person that will go in too deep, but I tend to catch myself. But so this is 5 indicators that you might be in too deep with dream interpretation. So over analyzing every dream, I could be guilty of that. If you find yourself spending excessive amounts of time dissecting every detail of your dreams, even the mundane ones, for hidden meanings, you might be too invested. And I think it's the whole hidden meaning thing. Like, you're almost getting into like the conspiracy of your dreams type of activity. You know, it's too much. You know, you got to analyze it, take it for what it is, and then put in your book and kind of move forward with whatever you got out of it, but not to obsess over it, you know. Using dreams for major life decisions, just like the tarot, you shouldn't be making life decisions based solely on the content of your dreams, because it's basically the dreams are just telling you what you already kind of know. So it's an intuitive thing. Neglecting reality, definitely. Same thing if you start to prioritize your dream analysis over real world. So like, if you're sitting there spending all your time, you take the day off of work because you had some sort of a dream, and now you've got to, like, you know, spend the whole day with this dream and its secret meaning, or it's telling you, you know, you shouldn't go to work. Like, you have a dream that, you know, there's been an accident or something. I mean, saying that though, I know with 9/11, there was people who had dreams. So always trust your intuition. But if you're like, don't go to work for a week, you know, you have to think about why, you know.
That's one of those, like, where you almost need to stop and ask yourself, like, is this intuitive, or is this just me overdoing because I want to lean one way or the other? Like, I don't, like, I could totally see myself doing that. Absolutely.
Definitely. I mean, because you might have a dream that, telling you not to go to work because in your soul, you don't want to go to work, so
Right.
it's like, oh, if you go to work, it's a real accident
Yeah.
because in a way it might be, for your whole being to be stuck at a job that is
Yes.
killing you.
Right.
Um,
Oh, here.
Emotional dependence, relying heavily on dreams to validate your
Oh.
emotions or feelings or provide comfort and reassurance in ways that should come from real life interaction. So I
Ooh.
think that, like, if you're doing dream interpretations and you're only doing that, and it would be the same with tarot, and not talking with others and stuff, you're kind of
Yeah.
isolating yourself, and that could take you down a dark road as
Which,
well,
yeah. Because if you don't have someone to bounce something off of, if you don't have another avenue to be like, well, what if it's this way instead of that way? Then you could
Right.
get it right. You could really go down a rabbit hole with that, and then
Definitely. That's why I say it's fun to have. Everybody has a friend who likes dream interpretations, right? So
Yeah.
you have that one friend that maybe you share your dreams with and kind of talk about it, because it's fun, and then it'll kind of keep you, in line. And then this one I really like. It's seeing patterns everywhere, believing that every dream is a prophetic vision or contains critical messages, and constantly searching for connections between your dreams and waking life might suggest an excessive focus on dream interpretation. So, like, if everything, and I think that goes with all of it, even paranormal, if everything is a synchronicity and all this, you have to stand back and think about it for a minute.
I've had moments where I've had to reel myself in from thinking like every single thing is a sign for something, right? Like it would be so, and it would be so easy, especially like if you're really in tune with your dreams, if you're really trying to figure out symbolism, right?
Yeah.
I can see that being an easy thing to get caught up in, because right, there is symbolism in everything, really, if you think about it, right? So oh wow. Man, oh, here, Damien has a question for dreams. Let me bring this up. So, like, how far back in life can we dream to before it becomes a past life? Ooh. So is this like, so like how far are we talking, like, as far as like in your own life now, or like if you're
time periods, or
ooh.
Are we talking time periods? I mean, if you're dreaming of the 1500s,
Okay,
so this is what I'm going to think that you mean. So if you're having dreams that are like in the 1500s, it could still be symbolic, and there could be something about the 1500s that is relevant to your life now, and it's not a past life dream. If there are past life dreams, which I've had some that could nod to that, then I think it's kind of one of those things where when you wake up, does it feel like it fits into anything? Have you, like, if you dream about it, I think it's just, I think the answer, and I forgot what the question was, but I think that it can be either. I don't think that the time, like if you're dreaming of the 60s or the 1500s, I don't think it has to necessarily be a past life dream. I hope that answers it.
Okay, perfect. Oh, he said yes. Yeah, so time. Okay, so, and I like that point where, like, you could be dreaming of something from a different time period, but it isn't necessarily that you're from that time period. It could be a symbolism for something about that you can pull into your life now.
And there's even, like, we have the ancestral memories. And so I wonder if our past life dreams are actually dreams of our ancestors, of experiences they had, and it's coming out in our dreams. So then you'd have to kind of see, does it fit? Like, I had a dream about a forest, and it was a whole thing. And when Mike Rickseeker went to Ireland, he showed a forest, and I was like, that's the forest. And it was in Ireland, and I have Irish heritage. So I thought that was like an interesting, like, maybe it was an ancestral memory coming out in a dream.
Oh, I like that though. That's okay. And then that's a whole other, like, that could be a show.
Right. It's a different show.
Oh my goodness, I love that. What is Stacy saying? Honestly, I'm gonna say yes to this one. Did you read Stacy's thing? Have you ever binge watched a Netflix series and then dreamt you were in? Yes. Vikings, actually, yes.
Oh, cool. That would be fun.
I love all that stuff. I'm very drawn.
Me too. Oh yeah, I love the Vikings. As a matter of fact, there's new ones that are coming out.
Yeah, I heard. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
It's with me today. Almost dropping F-bombs. I'm sorry. But so there is a very fine line when it comes to dream interpretation, right? Like with your symbolism and like going too far, and with it would be very easy, especially if you're just starting out. Like, so that's a question for you. So when you just started out on your journey of getting into dream interpretations, did you find that it was hard to get a balance between like what is actually going on versus like diving into symbolism? Was there ever a point where you like had to tell yourself like you need to find a balance, or
Yeah. Well, what happened to me is it's not so much like all of the symbolism and all that stuff, but what I became so obsessed with interpreting my dreams, writing them all down, that we have like 5 or 6 dreams a night. And every time I woke up, I would write down the dream. So I was up throughout the night, like 5 or 6 times a night. Then I'm sitting there on my phone, writing down the dream, thinking about it. So I'm awake. And
so you
it was
weren't really sleeping
too
then?
much, too much. And so then I wasn't getting good sleep. And then it kind of turned to nightmares. Then I trained myself to wake up after every dream. And so I actually recently just put down the whole thing, sadly, and I'm not writing down my dreams because I'm trying to train myself to sleep through the night. I have literally trained myself to wake up like 5 or 6 times during the night. It's killing me and I have to stop. So that's an example of being too obsessed with it. And most of the dreams were kind of like, they all kind of mean the same thing. So I could just write down the last one. I'd probably be fine.
But I can see like it's something that you're excited about, right? It's something that you're very passionate about. So like just wanting to get as much information, like I can totally see how easy that would be to like to want to do that. But then to the point where like you were very dedicated to it, so that you had yourself getting up after every dream to analyze it. That's wow. I mean, it's not good, but at the same time, like that's a lot of dedication to a passion. Also, like I appreciate that. That's yeah. I get it though. Uh-oh.
I saw that.
Yeah, did you see that? Yeah.
With Stacy's comment?
Yes, yes. But oh my goodness. So yeah.
I like this comment.
Yeah. Yeah. It took me a while to jump on the Game of Thrones bandwagon, but once I did, I was so obsessed. I'm like, why did I say no to watching this for so long? I love it, right?
Yeah. Oh, now what, the House of Dragon? Are you watching that?
So I got to the point where she ended up she started having children and stuff, and like I just something about like that point in it, like I can't get past, like I don't know. I'm like, yeah, I'm like in a little
retry it.
Okay,
that goes away. Retry it. It's so good.
I'm just like it was exciting, I'm like it's not exciting. So, but anyway, sidetrack. Should I do Sam? Are you still here? Do you want your card reading real quick before?
Oh yeah.
Need to pull a card for Sam really quick. I love that she's here today.
Yeah.
This first
I haven't seen Sam in a while.
Yeah, neither have I. Okay. I need clarification. Okay. So, my dear Sam, you have temperance, and then I pulled a clarification card for it. So temperance is like this nice finding balance, having that, like, so they have one foot, this angel has one foot in the water and one foot on the land. So this is kind of like having that balance between like the spiritual and the physical, or having just like the emotional, like everything is coming into balance. And Sam, okay, good. I'm glad you're here. So you're going, if you feel like I don't know what your situation is. I don't know if you feel like you need balance or if you feel struggling or whatever, but you're coming into a time of finding this beautiful balance, right? Of finding, and I know we're talking about diving too much into symbolism, but this is one of those cards that asks you to look for your symbolism, to like give you the reference points that yes, you are being guided into a time of balance. And then for your clarification card was 4 of Pentacles, and this is one of those cards where he's standing on the coins, he's holding the coins, there's coins around him, he's in this throne, like a seat of authority. So this is like you're very much in a time of being stable. So don't worry. So this also is like, don't stress yourself out about not being like don't stress yourself out about, do I have enough? Because that's going to kind of choke out the flow. I don't know if that like makes sense at all. Like let yourself go with the balance. Let yourself go with the flow, just like the water coming between the cups. Just like let it all come to you. You're coming into a time of balance right now. So like I don't know if this is like even like because I know you have kids, so like maybe this is even too like having a little bit more free time for yourself because the kids are soon going to be coming back into going to school, and like having this like a little bit of extra time for yourself. So hopefully that makes sense for you. Okay, good. I'm glad that makes sense. Okay, so where were we at here? Oh,
I think
misconceptions. Is that right?
yeah.
And then we have a quiz then too. I'm so
We
excited.
do have a quiz, so you guys can test how deep you are in.
All right,
that sounded right.
It does, and it does. Yes, it does. So I'm just gonna run through these. These kind of like coincide with the red flags for how knowing that you're in too deep. But these are just like little things, misconceptions that might let people run into that. And I won't spend too much time on them. They're just like 5 quick points. People think that cards can actually predict your future. They actually don't. Like we were saying earlier, they're a way to have that dialect with yourself, right? So they're there for perspective, they're there for guidance, and they're not there to like forecast a fixed predicament, if that makes sense, right? So like if you're going to somebody thinking that it's going to give you the be all end all of a situation, right? And you start getting obsessed over things, and it's not meant for that. Also too, and I think this was something that got brought up in the questions about having to have somebody else read for you. Only psychics can read cards. This isn't true. You can read cards yourself, and actually I recommend that if people want to have a deeper dialect with themselves and they just want a different outside of the box thinking, cards are a great way because you look at the symbolisms and it opens up the doorway for a conversation. That people think that cards are evil or dangerous. So like this might take you on like a completely another direction on going off the deep end with the cards. They're not. Like I said earlier, the cards only have as much power as you give them. They're literally little cards of cardboard with, pictures on them. There's no hidden magic inside them. Anything that you put into, like everything that is about those cards, you put into them. The intention, the energy, the power. It all comes from you, and it comes from your intention. The cards themselves actually don't hold any power. So hopefully that makes sense for you guys. There's no fixed meanings. So becoming obsessed with what a card reader is telling you, if you start freaking out because a certain card meant something and you just can't wrap your head around why your reading was the way it was, sit with what came to your attention when you looked at the cards. Because the reader is going to go off of just the symbolism and what they're pulling in that moment. You're like Deedee, you even said this, like, yourself better than anyone else, right? So talk to yourself. That's why the cards are there. And they aren't going to solve any problems. I hate to tell you guys, like, people go to readers all the time to like solve their problems. No, they're not to be used for a decision-making tool on that extreme of a level. They are, like we were saying earlier, they're to open up that doorway, to have the conversation, to get a fresh perspective so that you can sit with something in a way that you can make sense of it. So just knowing that like these are like little gateways to getting to those points of like, you know what I mean? Like if you look at the cards as be all end alls or like having the answers for everything, you're gonna get into those rabbit holes of thinking you need them to survive. So
those are really good. Those are good lists there. I like that.
But yeah, so that's all I had for like the misconceptions part. Like they're not evil. They're not meant to give you direct answers. It's a tool, just like anything else.
Well, like what you said, you get what you put into them. And I think the same thing, like if you're going to a reader, you have to be open to listen also, and kind of like share energy, I guess, especially if you're sitting in person. But it seems to work online too, which I think is really amazing.
I love that. Well, you think it's like energy doesn't necessarily need to have like can't really contain energy, really, right? Like why can't that's an cool subject too. But so we have a fun quiz for everybody. I'm excited to do this.
All right, so we'll pop this up. Okay, so let's see how deep you guys are into this. So hopefully you have a pen or your phone or something.
Please get some kind of way to track yourselves here, guys.
Yeah, because you kind of need to know what the letters are. Oh, we both clicked on it.
Okay, I'm gonna let go of the comment.
Okay. Let's see. Number one, how often do you consult astrology charts or horoscopes for making daily decisions?
Oh, what is this? A, rarely, B, occasionally, C, frequently, or D, always?
Yeah, I rarely do. I will listen. I like to listen to Cardzi B. She does like the thing. She has a podcast comes out on Sunday. So I like to hear what she says and I kind of like take it in, but I don't do that daily. That's I guess I'd say occasionally if it's weekly. I don't know.
I've gone through phases where I've literally gone every day reading my like, I don't know if it's my be all end all for how I'm gonna do things, but I definitely check in with them. So
yeah,
I'm gonna go with frequently.
And you guys can post your answers on the side.
Yes, please,
let us know. Be occasionally,
okay,
yeah. Right. Should I move on to the next one?
Yes.
Okay. All right, you want to read every other one?
Oh, yes. Do you want me to read this one? I can.
Sure.
Do you find yourself spending more time on metaphysical practices than on your daily responsibilities? So your options are A, never, B, sometimes, C, often, or D, always.
Ooh. I'm a sometimes for sure. Sometimes I spend a lot of time. If I'm not wasting time on the internet, then I'll be doing it looking at stuff like that.
It depends.
Or maybe it's a combination.
Yeah, like for me, it's B or C. It depends. If I'm in a funk, it's definitely C. Yeah.
Oh, they're not posted. Come on. I want to know.
Yeah, I kind of want to know too. Like I'll definitely admit I spend way more time focusing on the metaphysical stuff than I do on like the day-to-day stuff that I probably should be focusing on.
Yeah, it's like, should I do the dishes or should I? Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. How much do you spend on metaphysical tools and services monthly?
Ooh.
And that's an interesting one because I'm sure there are people out there that spend more than 200. I mean, if they get a monthly reading, it's probably running them about 200, right?
Yes. Oh, Stacy, I love you, man. Yeah, what if metaphysical practices are your daily responsibilities?
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a business expense. For me, it would definitely be A. I every once in a while will buy cards that I can't resist or crystal or something like that.
I have gotten so much better with, I went through an entire phase where I could not go near a metaphysical shop. Don't even take me near a mineral store because I have so many crystals now. It's not even funny. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Currently A, but I'm not even going to say what it used to be. So do you prioritize metaphysical advice over medical or professional advice? So this is A, never, B, rarely, C, sometimes, or D, always. Which is just like, I feel like this could be a very telling question for if you're trying to figure out if you have red flags or not,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I would say sometimes. I tend to like. Yeah, I would say sometimes.
Definitely sometimes for me too. No lie there for sure.
I'm not doing as well as I thought I was going to do. Let's see. Have you ever felt disconnected from friends or family because of your metaphysical beliefs?
Oh.
So it's never, rarely, sometimes, or often.
Disconnected from friends or family.
I'm going to say sometimes because there's some people that I don't.
Yep.
I have different types of friends and some are not interested in this kind of stuff. So I would say, yeah, kind of.
Yeah. I have even like certain people just because like the religious backgrounds and stuff. So yeah, absolutely.
Sam said D.
Yeah. I feel that. Okay, so do you feel anxious or uneasy if you skip your metaphysical practices for a day? A, never, B, rarely, C, sometimes, or D, always? Yeah, for me, it used to be D, and now I think I can say C now.
Yeah. I will miss it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to say C sometimes.
Can you hear the snoring in the background?
No, I don't hear it.
Leo is snoring so loud.
Aww. Ooh, there's a good one. How often do you seek validation of your metaphysical experiences from others?
Oh, rarely, sometimes, or
You
often.
seek validation. I
I
think
mean,
for me, it's rarely.
it depends. Like, if it's a big deal to me personally, see, that's so situational for me. But how
Yeah.
often? Okay, how often do you? Okay, not that often. If I have to look at it on like the grand scheme of things, which is what this is
Right.
asking, yeah,
Yeah.
for me it's rarely.
But that's interesting, right? I mean,
Yeah,
some of these questions, it's like you don't think about it until you like read it and you're like,
yeah,
yeah, okay. Because these are all like red flags, right?
they are. Which is making me worry about myself a little bit here. It says, do you find yourself believing in metaphysical concepts even when they contradict scientific evidence? Ooh, A, never. B, rarely. C, sometimes. D, often. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a
Say
C
being involved in the
sometimes.
paranormal, I would say D often.
Oh, that's true, right? That all kind of connects.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. A lot of stuff within the paranormal community, we kind of just have to take that as
Yeah.
our own opinion or blind faith, because I don't think, as far as like scientific methods concerned, a lot of stuff with the paranormal cannot be recreated, right? So it's really hard to take that scientific
Yeah.
stance on things.
Yeah. Even with tarot and dreams, I mean, there is a lot of studying about dreams, but depending on who you talk to, like in the science community, they have different opinions of what it really means. Some believe that it's just something that happens. It's just like, any other physical thing that happens in our body versus like some people think it has a
Oh,
deeper
yeah.
meaning. So
Oh yeah, it's just like how, well, I don't even know if this is still true, but like at one point, like even just like the arguing over like what a soul is, or like what consciousness
yeah,
really is, or like, yeah.
sure.
So
Yeah, we really don't know. They never figured it out yet.
as far as science is concerned, right? Um,
Yeah.
is this? Oh, I can't remember who is reading. What am I?
I don't
Or
remember. Go ahead.
I'll just do it. I'll do it. How often do you engage in metaphysical practices? So like meditation, tarot reading, energy healing. A, rarely. B, weekly. C, several times a week. Or D, daily. I know mine.
Yeah, I would say probably daily.
Really, I definitely.
One, either, I mean, if you're going to include meditation or like
Yeah.
dream interpretations or pulling a card, I'm sure I do something every day.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Could even be like somebody who prays, right? Or energy healing. Like if
Oh
you're,
yeah, yeah. I would put praying in that too. Absolutely, because
and I don't think that's a bad thing.
no, I feel like that's having like a lot of that, right? The meditation, all that. I feel like that's having a conversation with yourself, like that energetic side
Yeah,
of you.
I don't think that that's bad. So I kind of,
Yeah.
all right. Do you feel a sense of superiority over others because of your metaphysical knowledge or experiences?
Ooh. Yeah, no, I definitely do not have a superiority complex on it.
I don't either. I think some people might, but I think
Yeah.
that's more rare. But and I think that's a personality thing more than
Yeah.
you know.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
All
Aw,
right,
Sam
so
has made me smile with this.
yeah. Aw. All right, so here's your
Ooh.
results. So I don't know. What do I have most of? I
Oh,
have a lot of C's
yeah.
and B's.
Yeah, I'm mostly
So
C's.
B says if you enjoy metaphysical practices but keep them in moderation. C is you are quite involved in metaphysical world and should be mindful of maintaining a balance, which I don't think either one of those are bad.
No, I don't think they're horrible. I'm definitely a C though. I'm definitely mostly C's.
Yeah. And we talk about that, about, getting in too deep and being mindful. So that kind of like shows you, is you just have to have the balance.
Yeah, you really do. What is D? You may be too deeply immersed in the metaphysical world. Consider evaluating the impact of your daily life. Ooh. Okay, so like if
Yeah.
you're mostly D's, those are like you need to maybe step back and reevaluate a few things. Ask yourself,
Yeah.
do you really need to do the practices that you're doing? Or if you are going to do them, how are you interpreting them? Like, can that be
Yeah. And
changed?
that's a good way to check yourself. How is this impacting your life? Is it
Wow.
positive? Because it should be positive.
It should. Yeah. I feel like even like with dream interpretations, if you have a bad dream, is that like more like you can take that as a sign for like just how like why is it that way? Can I change something? Right? Like isn't it more of like a sign of like looking at things in a different perspective versus like, oh, you're screwed. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, well, it's more of like it's to me. It just means it's more urgent. It's upsetting. There's something going on that's upsetting to you or disturbing your flow. So that you should pay a
like
lot of
give it
attention
some
to
attention.
nightmares. Yeah,
Which is the same with cards too. Like if you have a card
yeah,
reading that's like negative, it's
yeah,
just it's an aspect to look at and to
yeah,
consider different angles from it, and just like to be mindful of it, basically.
yeah.
Yeah, that's really great. So hopefully everybody on the side here, hopefully that helped anyone who was on the verge of like not knowing where they're at with any of this, right?
Yeah.
It's helped a little bit. Otherwise, it's just like very educational. I know for me it was educational, even just doing the research for it. So
Oh, definitely.
yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing because there's things that I didn't, think of, and then I read it and I'm like, oh yeah, see.
Yeah, same. But this has been amazing. Deedee, seriously, thank you for bringing this topic up and for allowing us to dive into this. And this has been
Yeah.
amazing.
Thank you.
And everyone on the side, thank you so much for showing up tonight and for spending your Sunday evening with us. And
Yeah.
we will we'll see you next episode. We'll make sure that we post up the dates and the subjects. And oh, hold on, what is this? What do people do if they hold on? Let me finish this out. What do people do if they're on?
Yeah.
So I know as far as like with anything, I would say, talk to somebody. I would say make sure that, or hopefully you have friends around you, right? That can be like, hey, or if you're feeling like you're taking something too far, or if there are signs that things are going drastically one way or drastically another, I would hope that this would be a moment for you to take that step back and ask yourself, why is it so extremely one way or why is it so extremely the other? Like take those extremes as a moment to sit back and reflect on why is it this way? And I think like that's a really good way to help assess, like, is this something I can handle? Is this something that I need to talk to somebody about? Especially if it's an extreme of like thinking it's the end of the world or some kind of devastation. Like if you get to that extreme, before you act on it, I would ask that you please go talk to somebody else before you act upon something like that. If that makes sense.
It does. Yeah. You have to really step back and see how it's impacting your life. What are people around you saying? Because, there's something going on and you need to step back from all of it just to see.
Oh, thank you guys. Yeah. So it's definitely just one of those things where like, if you feel like things are very drastic, like just please reach out or please reevaluate. And yeah, but everyone, thank you. This has been amazing. Yeah. And there's always, if you don't have a friend, you can like, I'm always around, you can message me or like there are 1-800, there are numbers for people like, which I should probably post up somewhere. I know there's been times where I've known a handful of people who I could have benefited from them sometimes, but exactly. But everyone, thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Night.